So, one of the jokes that we make when we play decks is that real decks have curves. And if you look at this deck, it's got, if you ignore the lands, it's almost a bell curve, I guess. But, yeah. Decks like this always kind of surprise me. And by that, I mean, Modern's the format where, regardless of how good or bad your deck is, you're probably going to win some matches. This, you'd like to add a Modern Mud list. I could probably do that. Make a note for that. Hey, Riviera. Thank you for the 12 months and for the very generous tier 3 resub. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Teacup, thanks for the 7th month in a row. Thanks for keeping me around, folks. Hope you're having a good morning. Hope you're having a good start to your weekend wherever you're at. Perfect dinner. Hopefully, we run into a bunch of Phoenix and... What are we looking for? We're looking for, like, Phoenix and Grixis Shadow and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure, especially when you don't have... Especially when you have Serum Powder and don't have Spirit Guide or a Temple to start, you're supposed to Mulligan. You just, like... You want to look for your more explosive starts in this deck, I think. Oh, we have Gemstone Caverns too, and we're on the draw, right? Yeah, so this hand is super reasonable. So we'll keep this. We'll put Gemstone Caverns into play. I think I'm gonna exile the Smuggler's Copter here. Hopefully these cards have text. This is the tough part, right? Because we don't know exactly what we're playing against. So like this Dismember or Chalice might be bad, but I think I need to keep both of them to hedge. Any plans for the weekend? No, not really. Oh, gosh. Man, I hope they soft stub me. I was just thinking, if they're Grixis Shadow, I hope we don't get soft stubbed here, but now I hope they soft stub me. Alright, well, hopefully they're in Eldrazi, they're a Shadow deck. I guess they're a Shadow deck, they probably would have played something in response there. Flooded Strand more likely implies something that's not Shadow, I think. If we draw Eldrazi Temple, we can smash her next turn off the back of the Simian Spirit Guide. Jeskai? Yep. I wonder... Are there any... Spirit Guide also works. Are there any major Magic events going on this weekend? It's SCG Regionals is going on, right? But is there anything other than Regionals occurring? I did not see that, Erdian. I will be happy to get that added. Make a note of that. Alright, they're down to 9. Hopefully this is the part where they never find a Terminus or a... Wow, they binned Verdicts. They must be missing a land. No major events this weekend. I'll probably do a daytime stream this weekend if that's the case. Just regionals. The Ultimate Mistake. Thank you for the 2-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Glad you enjoyed the YouTube stuff. I think the London Mulligan will make less consistent modern decks more competitive. No, I actually think it's going to do the inverse of that. I think modern decks that are less... modern decks that aren't consistent enough tend to not be consistent enough because they can't reassemble through disruption. And the London Mulligan is going to make decks that have disruption in them more likely to hit their disruption on time. So, in my professional opinion, the thing that's going to get hurt most by this new London Mulligan are bad decks. Decks that have a cohesive game plan that can execute it consistently are just going to get to execute it more consistently. I have Settle the Wreckage. Wow. Alright. This is the part where they untap, play Teferi, and then I concede, right? That's how this works. Will do, General Pancakes. Thanks for the support. Hope you're having a good one. Thanks for keeping me around. The Blinkmoth is actually a really good drop because they're at 2, and a lot of their removal for something like this costs 1, and I have Chalice in play. Although I guess they have Helix and Teferi. Alright, solidly into garbage time. Got it. Kind of, Chucky. So, like, the conclusion that Dredge is going to profit from the change is, like, kind of narrow and short-sighted, and based on the fact that, like, decks that are mulliganing for their Dredge hate cards aren't also going to get better. So, like, sure, your Dredge deck finds what it's going to do more often, but guess what? Your opponent who registered Leyline of the Void, they're going to have it more often. Rest in Peace is going to happen more often. Your opponent's going to have their Surgical Extraction more often. Nice, Sheriff. Yeah, I just feel like too many people are super focused on like what it's going to do for the decks that are trying to do their thing, and they're not thinking enough about decks that are gonna like have disruption. Do you know how often the Force of Will decks are gonna get to have Force of Will in Legacy now? Like incredibly often. I think we just do this, and we'll play Mimic and crew it up on 2. Every deck gets to mulligan better. All of the decks are better. Yeah, I agree. Super hyped to never keep 6 on the draw with a scry and then miss my second land and die. Because you'll just have 7, and you'll get to know, is there a land there, basically. Did they... Speaking of keeping 1-landers on the draw with a scry, welcome to Magic. Enjoy your stay. How fitting. What an interesting and engaging game of Magic the Gathering. The thing I think this mulligan rule is really going to do for Modern is it's going to highlight the discrepancy in power level between the decks that are good and the decks that have always been bad. Because the decks that have always been bad, it's going to be more apparent that they are bad because they are going to win fewer games based on their opponent not getting to play Magic. And that will be a blow to some people. Like, there's some people that, like, the only reason their deck is playable is because Magic's an incredibly high variance game. Like, you have like one or two good matchups where you're actually good, but then you're just hoping to get by in the rest of them by people just, like, stumbling and dying and mulliganing a bunch. And, like, that's just gonna happen less now, so you're gonna get less of those free wins. Mup, thanks for the Prime support. I appreciate you shipping my Bezo Bucks this way. Your Bezo Bucks this month. Thanks for keeping me around. I think this is a mulligan. I only have one land. Like, I have turn 1 Chalice, but, like, it's a free mulligan on the Serum Powder, and I don't have a second land. So, this is kind of... So, this is a little bit awkward. I have... these are like, Thought-Knot Seers 2 and 3, but, like, I'm also exiling double Eternal Scourge here. So, like, I'm technically mulliganing to 9 here. I've yet to exile an Eldrazi Temple, and there's a third Scourge here, so I'm gonna mulligan to 10. This hand's perfectly acceptable. Keep. This was great. Serum Powder's a silly card. Eternal Scourge is actually incredibly good in this matchup. This card says, whenever it becomes targeted by a spell or an ability an opponent controls, exile it instead. Chalice of the Void. Huh. Do I want to play that out? I'm going to attack with this to start. I think I want to play that out. Yeah, definitely happy we're not playing against Mill. Well, that's incredibly rude. Timely, also rude. There are a lot of cards that have text ball exiled. No, not many. It's not design space that gets explored often. I'm going to keep that there. And the fact that that's on top of my deck means I'm going to go ahead and attack for 3, and then I think just play Smuggler's Copter this turn. Wait to play out these other threats until I have Chalice in play. What decks do you play Chalice on 2 against? Probably just Storm, if I had to venture a guess. Yeah, match 1, game 2 for this league. That is aggressive. Are we casting, like, Anger or Wrath of God here? If Subtle Wreckage. This kind of screams Settle, right? I don't know what you mean by that, Mind. Have they ever tried a new mulligan roll at a major event and then not implemented it? No. Both previous times, so they've had 2 mulligan rules changed at Magic history. This would be the 3rd, and both times they tested it and then immediately changed it afterwards. Are we upgrading my Chalice or are we upgrading my Smuggler's Copter? Probably the Copter here, right? I'm actually kind of losing this race, so I'm going to go ahead and just pass back here, I think. I'm not sure that we can beat that without a Smasher off the top. I guess maybe this Chalice, like, holds off enough that we're able to slam in. Maybe this Chalice is able to, like, hold off enough cards from them that, like, it doesn't matter that they're drawing 2 cards a turn. So, like, they're going to have enough blanks from it being 1-mana spells. And unfortunately, I'm just, like, not going to be able to beat a sweeper now, because I basically just have to go all in. Just like, this is my stuff. Please don't kill it. Yeah, but at this point, Burgle, like, their whole hand has to be 1-mana removal in order to, like, not lose the Teferi after, right? So, like, if they tuck the Teferi and then trade 1-mana removal for a bunch of my stuff and I kill the Teferi, we're kind of at parity at that point. So I think Sweeper is what I'm worried about here. If they have it, I'm just going to move along. Yeah. Shame it wasn't Anger, so we could replay the Eternal Scourges. Like I said when we started, I'm always kind of surprised when decks like this do well, because I don't think they're particularly good. Their average converted mana cost and the amount of interaction that they have is kind of low. You're basically just like crossing your fingers and hoping that your Chalice of the Void is meaningful interaction, that like your Thought-Knot Seers are fast enough. Like in reality, this deck only has 1, 2, 3 pieces, so 12 pieces of disruption in the main deck. And then the rest of it are cards that are really kind of expensive overall. Like, while gaining card advantage from Eternal Scourge is cheeky, at the end of the day, we're still registering a 3/3 for 3 in Modern, so it's like... So, I actually like the rule that one player had to do all their mulligans before the other player did any of their mulligans, because I felt like it did a good job of giving the person who was on the draw an extra advantage, because being on the draw is a pretty big drawback in Magic. Alright, hope this is a matchup where Chalice of the Void's good. If it is, we might win because our opponent doesn't play Magic. If it's not, we're probably gonna die. This deck feels like it's trying to play Legacy in Modern. There's just way less decks full of 1-mana spells in Modern. Occasionally you still get them and then you win, but there just aren't nearly as many. That's true. Using the Stoneforge Mystic principle, I can only conclude that Smuggler's Copter is busted and should be banned. Thing in the Ice. Hey, Thing in the Ice is good for us. Thing in the Ice means this Chalice of the Void probably wins the game. Now, even the Gristlebrand deck likes being on the play. This is my 2-1 and my 1-1. A chip and a chair. Let's go. Look at that. Double that clock up, chat. Get him. So we have 6 power. Chalice the Void's making my opponent not play Magic. I wonder if they have the land and we're just getting to hand size to discard the Phoenix. That would be... Seems loose, though. Because, like, they could just, like, cast the Phoenix. Yeah, Arena is tough to follow if you haven't played it. I mean, I think that's true of all card games, really. Like, if you're not familiar with what's going on and where the zones are. Triggers. Okay, so you're at 2, so you're dead. Got it. For Relic of Progenitus, you know, to combo with my Chalice of the Void. Dismember is good for Thing in the Ice. This is probably not a Smuggler's Copter matchup. Yeah, a lot of the Phoenix decks have been main decking Surgical because they can Faithless Looting past it when it's not good and it's just a free spell to bring your Phoenix back. Arena's hard to watch if you just don't know what's going on. Be Rich, if you're like not familiar with where to be looking for information. Like that's true of any game. You just like don't know what's up. It's just Arena's more accessible, so more people are familiar with what's going on in different places. Because past Jeff accepted a bunch of modern decks Burgle, and he's still currently working through the backlog. Present Jeff is still currently working through the backlog. Eventually we'll get to a point where we're only playing decks that I think are sweet and linear, but until then, here we are. You might try Matter Reshaper. Past Jeff minded getting beat up playing bad decks a whole lot less. That seems great. Oh, I have Rav Trap in my sideboard too, yeah. I should bring in more Graveyard Hate than this probably. Yeah. Activate this right away. But there should 10 out of 10 be traps and surgicals in my deck. This is the part where they just like put 2 Phoenixes into play before I can get anything going. It's a good draw. I think I just dismember this, plus hold up, I'm going to keep that on top, because that card's really good in this matchup, and I want to back up for after they kill the first one. Yay, hate cards. No, I don't think I want to play the Mimic into something like Lightning Bolt. I also think it's important that I just leave Chalice of the Void up. Or Relic up, so that way they can't flip some Phoenixes into play. And this is definitely, we're definitely like in a position where I think I'm winning as we go along. Well, I guess if they just cast a bunch of Arc-like Phoenixes, that's less true. Hey, Nubinated, thanks for the 2-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Since they put a bird into play and I'm kind of low, I'm just gonna get this going. This BE aggressive. That's terrifying. Well, if they can't flip the thing in the ice next turn, are we still dead? I guess I need them to not flip it over 2 turns. Next turn I'll get to play Reality Smusher and truck on in. Awkward. Awkward. When you draw your hate cards, but can't raise 3/2 Flying Haste for 4. You know, honestly, watching that game, I don't think I want these cards. I think I want to just click submit. I think Relic and Chalice is plenty. I think we'll leave these in the board for Dredge. Apparently our opponent's going back to the sideboard now that they know we have artifact take cards. Oh, wait. They knew that already. Here we go. Here we go again. Should have known, should have known, should have known again. Here we go again. What does IP mean, Sarnak? Gonna cut the line for Mud up next. I just can't hammer my viewer count in her. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be live over the weekend. I'd be happy to do it to start whatever my weekend stream is. Starting late with the arena segment just kind of snowballs the viewer count throughout the day, because then people looking to that normally watch arena here like go watch other streamers, and they're not gonna necessarily come back. I think this is good enough. When we get closer to the new set releasing on Arena Anner, I'm planning to do a couple of Moto only days leading up to it. So last time they released the new set on a Thursday, so if they do that again, probably Tuesday, Wednesday, and maybe the Monday before, I'm gonna do all MTGO. Cleanse out some of the backlog. So it'll be somewhere next month. We'll do a couple of all Moto days. I'm just going to play a backup Chalice out here. Just because they definitely have ways to destroy artifacts post-board. Just want to make sure they're locked out. What's going on, Torcat? Thanks for the 8 months. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Are the all MTGO days planned for after Modern Horizons? Well, Modern Horizons isn't coming out for like another decade. Their spoiler timeline on Modern Horizons was really stupid. I don't know why they announced Modern Horizons and then they're like, oh, by the way, it's not happening for 4 months. Have fun. All right, can we race one Arclight Phoenix? I think so. Well, whoever just checked out Quip, hope you enjoy your brush. Thanks for the support. Thanks for checking out the sponsor. Yeah, I'm just going to dismember this. Am I? They're just going to play 3 spells and get it back next turn. Now, let's just race. Let's just race. I get to do this, which gives me 7-8 power here. Makeshift Reaper, thanks for the Prime support. Good morning, TGIF. Like, the Horizon announcement sounds sweet. I'm sure they're going to give us things to, like, work on in the format. But, like, if it's not happening till June, they probably should have announced it, I don't know. Especially if they're going to do some spoilers. They should announce it, like, a month or two before when they're ready to actually start spoilers. Chalice is on 1. Looks like our motley crew might actually get through this game. So they're going to get to bring their Phoenix back next turn. They have Faithless Looting, Lightning Bolt, Flame Slash in hand, plus 2 other cards I don't know. Hopefully more cards that cost 1 mana. I think trying to predict things that are going to be in Modern Horizons is going to be an exercise in frustration, much like trying to predict what they're going to do with the Modern ban list. Oh, is that a good one? What do we think of that one? I completely agree with that, Panza. Any format that has a negative impact from the change in the Mulligan rule already wasn't healthy and probably needed to be managed. It's not going to create new problems. It's just going to make problems that were already there more apparent. I just really hope they reprint Stoneforge Mystic into Modern Horizons. That way we can play with that card in Modern for the first time ever. think that'd be a really cool legacy card that's an appropriate power level for Modern. We're already 0-1. We died. This deck is much worse than Bant Eldrazi, Chef Seth. Don't play Bant Eldrazi. And Bant Eldrazi at least plays like good Modern cards. This deck does not. Just take care of this now. What's the difference between a slight problem and a format warping issue? How much you love Faithless Looting. If you love Faithless Looting, it's a slight problem. If you dislike Faithless Looting, it's a format warping issue. Yeah, there's plenty of people who work in IT that would never have a reason to use Git. Git's a development tool. It's not something most IT people would need to use. A competent IT person would know how to Google how to run a Git command, though, but not having first-hand experience with Git is probably not a requirement for most IT positions. Alright, 1-1. We found one deck that died to Chalice the Void, and we found one deck that beat us through Chalice the Void. So hopefully we continue to win the matchup lottery and get decks that cannot beat Chalice the Void. Burgle, I realized my one true hope for Modern Horizons yesterday. I need a playable 1-mana fairy. I need Fairy Curse Catcher. It's all I want out of life is Fairy Curse Catcher. Fairy Curse Catcher. 1/1 flying. Just Judge's Familiar with a fairy subtype. It's all I need. That's all I want for Christmas. It doesn't even need to be split cost. I ain't greedy. This hand good enough to keep. I kind of feel like I should Serum Powder on principle just to like get through all the cards in my deck. But this has turn 1 Chalice on the play, and it has Eldrazi Temple, so I'm probably supposed to keep this. The White Ninja, thanks for the Twitch Prime support. I appreciate that. Wall of Blossoms is a card I wouldn't mind. Would not mind that one. Oh no! Oh no! We kept a hand hoping Chalice of the Void was good. And it's the Mirror. Hoping this card is good is such a... Yeah, present Jeff wouldn't accept this deck again in Modern. This deck is real stanky. Stanky pile of poop. It's a little ripe. How do I ever beat a Lingering Souls? Ancient Tomb, Chalice of the Void decks are fine legacy submissions. There are three categories of legacy decks I'm accepting: Brainstorm, Ponder, Force of Will decks, Ancient Tomb, Chalice of the Void decks, decks that can kill on the first turn of the game. Those are the three categories I'm accepting for legacy submissions moving forward. Every good deck becomes better. The only decks that become worse with the new Mulligan rule are decks that were unplayable to begin with. Decks that were only winning games because their opponents were getting unlucky. Does Legacy Storm fall into one of the three categories I just listed? It probably does. It probably falls into the King Kill on the first turn of the game, right? Yeah, you're just going to play more actual good games of Magic, Burgle, is what's going to happen. Oh, was I supposed to keep this land in my hand? Yeah, I was supposed to keep the land in my hand to loot through. People are terrified of change is the reason people are against it. People are terrified of change. They're terrified of the possibility that the thing they love could become different, and thus they might love it slightly less. It's easy to maintain the status quo. Mimzim, thanks for the Prime support. Hope you're having a good one. Thanks for shipping your Bezo bucks this way this month. What? I don't know what is in their hand. Is their hand just like 3 more Path to Exiles? Like, did this Chalice of the Void actually work? Oh, my opponent might have been color screwed. No, they had white and black mana here. People cheating, Harbor, is not a reason to not make a change. Ban people who cheat is the solution there. People are going to use this to cheat isn't a good reason to not do something. I can't tell if, like, Chalice of the Void did something meaningful there, or if their deck was just full of terrible cards, because the opponent's deck is pretty full of terrible cards. I'm going to cut a couple Simian Spirit Guides this matchup too, just because their deck's not going super fast. Morning, Ven Faith. It did stop a Path to Exile, you're not wrong. I'm on the draw. This hand has turn 1 Matter Reshaper. I guess I'm supposed to keep this, huh? I guess I'm supposed to keep this. Yeah, people who try and abuse the Mulligan rule to cheat and try and say, "Oh, I didn't actually Mulligan" to their opponents. Every time a dispute like that happens, it's gonna get logged in Whir. or whatever their application is called these days, Walter, and then eventually those people are going to get banned. Doesn't take long to develop a pattern for that. My favorite part about discussions like this are when people say, no, Jeff, you're wrong. It will inherently benefit specific decks, and then don't list any reason for why it's going to benefit those decks, and just continue to play into the bullshit fear-mongering that Magic players and humans love to play into. Stop it. Stop spreading panic. Stop spreading misinformation. If you want to engage in logical, reasonable discourse, that's great. But saying that you know for certain that this thing that you have zero experience with is going to do this other certain thing is nonsense. Because you definitely don't know the result because you have zero flipping experience with it. Stop with the FUD. It might mess things up. It might be perfectly fine. But the actual answer is at the end of the day, you have no clue because you have no experience with it. So stop spreading FUD and take a breather and say, hey, maybe let's try this thing that could be better. Maybe we could play more actual games of Magic. Or we could run around and say, oh no, Magic's ruined forever. They've changed the thing I like. Don't do it. Dredge is too good! The decks I love are no longer playable! Please, Jeff, no! You're killing me! You're killing Modern! You're killing Magic! Too many people in the world today are afraid to say, I don't know. And this is a very, very easy case to just say, guess what? We don't know. It might be terrible, it might be great, but the actual answer is we don't know. So stop acting like there's this great certainty that things are gonna be terrible, because there's just not. And honestly, as someone who has an educational background, this whole thing reminds me of hearing people talk about Common Core in schools, because that was a big curriculum change. And like, the answer is, it's like, well, we all agree the curriculum sucks. But this other thing that's new and different is scary, so we have to be against that too. It's like, we all agree that the current mulliganing sucks. But guess what? In order to change something that sucks, you have to try things that are different. And the first thing you try might not be perfect, but the first step at succeeding at something is often being kind of bad at it. If you don't iterate, you're never gonna improve. It's very easy to maintain the status quo and just be like, well, it was good enough for my father and my father's father, and it'll be good enough for you, damn it. Correct, Pokemon nerd. Mulliganing is still a disadvantage. The Ben Stark tweet about you should bet on me at the London Pro Tour because everybody else apparently plans to mulligan to 5 every game was just like so on point. Just like, guess what? Keeping 7 is still good. Still better to start with more cards. You're just getting less punished. Less punished. Instead of punching you in the dick twice, I'm only gonna punch you in the dick once. We're on the play here. I think on the play I'm supposed to mulligan this. Am I supposed to mulligan? I think I'm supposed to mulligan this on the play, right? It's just like super slow. I guess if I draw a land, I can like turn 2 Mimic, turn 3 Thought-Knot Seer. Is that good enough? Like, it feels like it's not good enough most of the time. But, like, this deck's draws don't get that much better than that. Face punching. Let's say face punching. Face punching is gender neutral. The new Mulligan rule is currently when you mulligan, you get punched in the face twice. With the new Mulligan rule, you only get punched in the face once. It's less bad. Throat punching. Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna keep this. We do have a 2, 3, 4, 5 curve. You're not wrong. Can a mod punch me in the metaphor? Yes, always. Good morning. Good morning to everybody. To the people who came in mid-rant, we were talking about the Mulligan rule and people's inherent aversion to change. Irrigated farmland. So blue-white control, got it. You just changed your resub. Damn Green, sometimes when you resub, you have to refresh to send the notification through. Because it gives you a chance to attach a fun message to your resub. Thank you for the continued support though, by the way. Trigger. What you working with over there? There you go. Thanks for the second month in a row, Dan. That's interesting. Okay. I think I just take the Mind Sculptor here. Glad to be here, Ben Faith. Sure, I've read that article, AGH, and that article assumes Magic is solitaire, and Magic's not solitaire. You need to understand that Magic is an incredibly complex game. You want to know the easiest way to know that people aren't good at predicting the future of Magic? Go back to literally any flipping spoiler season and go read terrible takes from really good Magic players trying to predict the power levels of Magic cards. And I'm not talking about random idiots on Reddit. I'm talking about go read Hall of Famers and players with Pro Tour top 8s. Go read their rancid takes. Go read their rancid takes on what cards will have what impact in standard formats or modern formats. Magic is super complex. And there's so many variables that there really isn't any substitute for experience. There is no substitute for experience. And pretending otherwise is nonsense. It's you're either willfully ignorant or just ignorant. You're either stupid or lying, one of the two. Maybe uninformed. Uninformed's an option too. But just There's so much going on. I should have cast this last turn. Because if they spell quellered it, I would have gotten to play it from another spell queller. You can be both. In fact, our current president is a great example of both. Land. That is not the land I wanted for Christmas. I don't want to cast Serum Powder because I don't want to get it spell quellered, I don't think. Yeah, my missequencing on my Eldrazi playing the Mimic on 3 instead of the Scourge is a pretty big mistake here. I assume I'm gonna lose this Reality Smasher. Deal. Which member? This one right here. I normally don't do a sideboard. I play a few games so I can see what is lacking in certain matchups, and I assemble a sideboard from that. It's a reasonable way to build a sideboard. In my opinion, that's not a reasonable way to build a sideboard. So, in my opinion, the ideal way to construct a sideboard is you should figure out what cards you don't want in your deck before you figure out what's in your sideboard. So, for example, if you have a main deck that you like, in order to construct a sideboard, I would look at what I have going on, and I would go, all right, so I look at my main deck, and I have 5 cards that are bad against Sultai midrange, and then I would want to make sure that I have 5 cards in my sideboard that are good against Sultai midrange. You want to look at how all of your ins and outs line up, basically. So you want to think about your deck and your popular matchups and go, I have this many cards that I need to cut in this matchup, so that means I need that many cards to bring in. How many is too many for overboarding? You're overboarding if you look at your deck and you say, oh, I have X cards. You know, if you look at sideboarding means you look at your deck and you go, well, I have 4 cards that I want to cut here, but I have 6 cards to bring in. That means you're over sideboarding. Nice, Divik. So I get to tap my stuff here. I get to play Smuggler's Copter post-combat, and then I have Blinkmoth Nexus plus Copter to... Oh, I wonder if they're going to tap my team, bounce my Blinkmoth. Wow, that's brutal. So we're gonna die because I played my land pre-combat. Oh no! Oh no, I missed it! Oh no! Oh, God. I punted. If I'd have Ghost Quartered my Blinkmoth, we'd have countered their Cryptic Command. If I'd have Ghost Quartered my Blinkmoth, we'd have countered their Cryptic Command. So they they messed up, and then I messed up back. They messed up, and I messed up back. So, if you remove the only target for a spell, the spell gets countered. So if I were to have Ghost Quartered myself, my creatures wouldn't get tapped, and I'd attack for lethal. Spatial Contortion seems good here. I think I'm going to trim the Spirit Guides. So I don't really need to go fast in this matchup, I don't think. Yeah. I was reading chat and talking at the same time. That's fine. And again, like, games like that are such a great example of why look at the bright side of this is why you shouldn't just look at the records of decks. You should go, oh, what actually happened in the games, right? Because, like, me missing a line is the difference between being 3-1 and being 2-2. I would prefer the new format that's coming to Arena not include Kaladesh. And if you'd like to know why, I'd encourage you to go back and play anything with Kaladesh. I guess. This hand's actually better on the draw than it is on the play because the Gemstone Caverns plus Eternal Scourge. Maybe I'm supposed to play the Void here so I can try and scry into a Temple. Why does it play like that fizzle? Cryptic Command, the same type of play, doesn't fizzle Searing Blaze. Read Searing Blaze. Searing Blaze has 2 targets. Cryptic Command only has 1 target in the instant I just talked about. Sure. A spell only fizzles when it loses all targets. I think that's fine. They turned off Serum Powder. They really did, didn't they? They turned off Smuggler's Copter too. Lands have a converted mana cost of 0. Except for flipped lands that have the converted mana cost of their front side. Alright, so I'm going to start by attacking for 3. I mean, to be fair, testing a change like that digitally is probably much better than testing a change like that in person. Like, the amount of data they could get from testing an updated Mulligan rule on Arena or MTGO versus like testing it on a Pro Tour is like night and day. Alright, so Jace is going to be unsummoned plus gain 5 here, which is, you know, it's like pretty good for Jace as far as Modern is concerned. You can no longer activate Blinkmoth. That's not true. It's not an artifact until it's not an artifact until it's a creature. Oh, you're saying I can't... No, I can still use it to pump. I can't activate it and then pump itself anymore, but it can still turn into a 1/1. Enter combat to start. Don't mind me. Just trucking on in for 5. Trucking. Let's play 2/3 drops as follow-ups here, I think. Eternal Scourge is funny because they can't spell Queller it. Chalice of the Void, hopefully leaving Path to Exile stranded in their hands. Blessed Alliance. Yeah, that's a real card. I agree. The new Mulligan rule change is just let people play more actual Magic instead of punishing people who are unlucky. Hey, look, a distraction. That is a copy of Stony Silence. Alright, so we're going to send my 3/3s. Actually, I'm just going to send 1 3/3 at Jace. And I'm going to send the others at them, because if they play a blocker, I can dismember it. Death Panda, thanks for the Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. I don't know what the best Bane of Fear build is in Modern yet. We're still trying lots of different things out. This is my go-to right now at tournaments. I don't think this deck is very good. I think this deck's kind of incredibly clunky and doesn't play enough efficient interaction to be very reasonable in Modern. I think there's too many matches in Modern where Chalice of the Void for 1 doesn't have meaningful text for this deck to be very good. That was Jace the Mind Sculptor. For those not familiar, Jace the Mind Sculptor was thing number 722 that was going to ruin Magic and Modern forever. That was then happened to just not be the case. Smugface, thanks for the 22 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Cryptic Command. Interesting. Did they mean to do that pre-combat? Or do they mean to target Blessed Alliance? Squadron Hawk is what rune standard? It really does, Disc Jockey. It really goes back to what we talked about earlier. Why not crack the desert in response? That's probably not a terrible idea. Yeah, I probably should have done that. Yeah. They're gonna bounce my Matter Reshaper now. Yeah, I should have Scavenger Grounds. That's probably why they didn't target Blessed Alliance, because they assumed I was going to Scavenger Grounds. They're bouncing Chalice. Okay, so they must have Path's Exiles in their hand then, right? What do we got, opponent? What do we got? Honestly, it's not even the fancy graphics and the sound effects that I miss when we play Magic Online. It's the rate of play. The rate of play in Magic Online is so slow compared to Arena. There's no auto tapper. There's no rope for players. They can sit here and tank for 4 or 5 minutes. And it might not even be a salt tank. It might just be like there's a third game in this match. Like, I punted the first game, so we lost. Like, they might just, like, have something come up, and Moto just, like, lets you walk away from your computer and come back later. Yeah, I don't think Relic's very good here. Especially because I'm leaving Chalice in. I think this is fine. I think we're A-okay with what we did. That it makes gambling close to obligatory for serious thing. Yep, I agree, Chucky. Boarded Ratchet Bomb to clear Stony Silence, right? Oh yeah, that's more reason to not board in Relic. They brought in Stony Silence. That's more reason. Any fun plans for the weekend? Probably streaming. There's no major tournaments this weekend, so we'll probably stream at some point. I might just do a full day tomorrow. Need to talk to the wife. This like has an Eldrazi Temple and a Spirit Guide. Yeah, I guess I'm supposed to keep hands like this, right? I get that it's like a free mull to 7, but like Temple's like really good. You just lead on this, and we can play Matter Reshaper and attack on 2. Loot the Serum Powder away. We're not gonna get to Mud today, Anner. If you want, we could have it happen first thing for whatever weekend stream we do this weekend. I need to talk to Christy if I'm gonna do Saturday or Sunday though. Oh, Flab. Oh, Flab. Trying to figure out if they want to path my Matter Reshaper or my Copter. I assume, especially after looking at my hand, they want to path my Copter here. The thing that always gets me about paper tournaments is the waiting. There's just so much wait time. So much down. Even like fast, well-run tournaments have a lot of downtime between rounds. So if they Spell Queller this, we can Dismember the Spell Queller. I think Rhythm of the Wild, Vanafear could be the best modern pod list. I don't think so. I think playing a bunch of low-quality creatures and low-quality and individually low-quality cards is probably not a good place to be in Modern. What's going on, Captain Jack? Good morning. Yeah, a lot of the persist creatures aren't very good, Crazy Duck. Wow, I'm really surprised they didn't just snap path here. I feel like that's what I'd do there, just like kill my stuff. Thanks to the girl ran yesterday. I finished the VOD and loved it. Please run it back. Definitely. That deck's really sweet. Thanks for the support, Frago. The one that registers Click and Coiling Oracle. I do love both Click and Coiling Oracle. They have Terminus in their creature deck? Seriously? Alright, sure. You do you, opponent. It's an interesting choice. Maybe I'm supposed to attack with Blinkmoth here. I don't know. If I loot into another land... Yeah, I want to play Eternal Scourge here. Yeah, I feel like not pathing the Copter is a pretty big mistake on their part. Especially because they have Terminus in their deck, right? Like if you have a sweeper, you want to prioritize taking my Resilient Threat off the table. Not even just the card selection, just the fact that like how their ways to interact with my board. That was a really good draw. I guess I probably shouldn't activate the second Blinkmoth just because I'm lethal with just these three. I guess activating the Blinkmoth is good in case they have like Path to Exile. Yeah, my advice for a situation like that is you should always appeal. If you ever get a ruling from a judge you're not happy with, you should appeal to the head judge. Nah, no paper events on my schedule at the moment. I might go to one of the modern NRG tournaments in Des Moines or Iowa or wherever else they're going. There's one in the Chicagoland area in June, but other than that, not 100%. Paper is just tough. Like, even this last tournament, like, I need to make time to get back to the post office to mail this deck back, which is, like, the epitome of a first world problem, right? Like, I had someone nice enough to send me an entire deck of Magic to play, but, like, I still have to make time to, like, get it back to them and spend money and effort doing that. Elder Gentleman, thanks for the Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. No, in Paper Magic the Gathering, you're not obligated to remind opponents about their triggers. Missed triggers and failure to maintain game state are different, and if you want to know the difference, I'd encourage you to talk to a judge or familiarize yourself with the IPG and the MTR. One of those two documents explains the difference. Favorite Magic deck at the moment. The new Takesy Backsies rule does suck and definitely discourages me from playing in Paper. The whole dealing with the politics of playing in Paper is awkward too. Like people getting upset and annoyed when you call judges on them for messing up. There's a new rule for Paper where if your opponent makes a play and then decides they didn't want to make that play, but they haven't gained any new information since they made the play, they can roll the play back. They can have a takesy backsies. You can't have gained any information from the play that you made. Yeah, magic. Alright. We went 3-1. We died to Just Guy Control. I don't know. I didn't really pull any punches during the league. I don't think archetypes like this are very good. I think your linear draw is kind of mediocre. I think there are places in Modern where this deck is good. Like, you're probably genuinely good against the Phoenix decks and other decks like Grixis to show that are really leaning hard on one-mana spells. But I think this isn't Legacy. There just aren't enough decks in this format that get completely hosed by Chalice on one to make a deck like this a reasonable choice, in my opinion, for most tournaments in a diverse field. If you're expecting a really narrow field, or if you love this deck, it's probably fine. But as far as, like, checking off boxes in Modern for what I would classify as a good Modern deck, this deck doesn't make the cut just because its proactive plan isn't strong enough in Modern as a whole, in my opinion. So, you know, we won some matches. Anything in Modern is capable of winning matches. Anything in Magic's capable of winning matches. So, at the end of the day, you do you. Don't let my dislike for something discourage you from playing it, but that's my opinion on the archetype. Onto video games. I don't like the takesy-backsies rule because it rewards players for being sloppy. Don't reward players for being sloppy. It's also something that won't be happening in digital, which is why I look forward to tournaments being digital, because there's no takesy-backsies here.